Hello and welcome to Travelers Tips and Tricks. I am your host, Ed Syndrome, and this is the weekly show which aims to get you as ready as possible for the release of Destiny in September. By the end of the series, we'll be more than ready for whatever the darkness or the enemies throw your way. This week, we are focusing on your movement across the level when playing in the Crucible. When we are playing PvE, there's nowhere near as important. When you're against other players, it is the difference between life and death. Or, plain and simply, a good scoreline and a bad scoreline. So this is something to keep in mind throughout your time playing Destiny PvP. My first big tip is learning where the opening routes are. The rushing routes for when you feel really aggressive and very ready for it, or the more passive, more defensive options when you're feeling a little bit more subdued and you're thinking, should I, shouldn't I? And there's the last option of you go balls to the wall, I am going to kill everyone, John Rambo style. That normally results in your death. Don't do that unless you're just feeling just crazy. So once you've learned these, you can use these to anticipate where the enemies are going to be, since Destiny usually has three main paths: the right route, left route, middle route. Once you've accommodated for these, you can begin to better anticipate where your enemies are going to be. In addition to that, when playing Control, use the capture indicators to give you an indication as to how many people are capturing that specific point. If the capture icon is filling up relatively slowly, you know that only one, maybe two people are capturing that point. If it shoots up, you know not to go in there unless you've got that Warlock absolute kill everything Nova Bomb, or the Titan kill everything charge and smash the ground thon. If you're a hunter, you don't have any of them, all you have is the golden gun. So you can do that, but you have to be a little bit more strategic about the way you engage. My second tip is to position yourself in an area of which you can react quickly and effectively. Noting the areas of high traffic and then using that to predict enemy movements is hugely valuable. Reinforce this with using the radar well, and you'll be able to easily anticipate and predict where the enemy is going to be. However, there are occasions of which the radar does not indicate an enemy's location. In this instance, you're going to have to rely on you being pretty lucky, because they're probably camping in a corner and just aiming at the control point. So a well-placed grenade, or my personal preference, a well-placed throwing knife, is absolutely amazing in this situation. My third and most important tip I can give you is that you have to be where the enemy least expect you to be. Absolutely obvious, I know, I understand. But the tricky part is sticking to it. Instead of you just blindly charging in or taking an even gunfight, you want to weigh that gunfight in your favour. So by moving to an area of which you have a little bit more cover, you surprise your enemy. Jumping is one of the best ways to do this, seeing as the FOV in Destiny isn't particularly high. And when I say FOV, I mean field of view. Isn't particularly high. I think it's around 60-65 degrees, and the vertical FOV is even lower. So if you're able to get height, or you can essentially jump out of the opposition screen, therefore they're just going to be spinning around and trying to look for you, and you can use this to your advantage. For the vehicles, using the Sparrow is hazardous when not used properly. The Sparrow is only good for when you know when players aren't nearby. Since you are completely exposed, the Sparrow gives little to no protection on any sides except from the front. So all a player has to do is spot you and open fire, and you're as good as dead. You're very lucky if you're able to hop off the Sparrow and begin firing back. The Pike is similar to the Sparrow, except it is a very capable anti-personnel vehicle when in the right hands. However, it still suffers from the Sparrow's problem of lack of protection for the pilot. This protection is much better than the Sparrow. However, you must still avoid getting flanked with this vehicle, since you are completely exposed on your both right, left and your rear. The last vehicle is the Interceptor. This vehicle is the largest vehicle we saw in the beta that was used in PvP, and it is very good at taking down Guardians and Pikes alike. This vehicle gives the best protection for the pilot, however it still suffers from the problem of a single good sniper and a single well placed shot will get you sniped out of it. What I'm saying is when you use a vehicle you have to be very cautious of your surroundings, since you are very exposed on your flanks and on the rear. Therefore a single sniper can more than easily take you out with a single headshot, and therefore your big tanky destroyer is no longer there for you to use. My tip for when you get caught on foot up against an interceptor or any vehicle is to either use your ultimate on it. For the hunter, the golden gun, it takes one shot on the side of a pike and up to 3 shots to kill an interceptor. The best way to get rid of an interceptor is to snipe out the pilot. So now I've given you all of my tips that I have for movement, let's quickly go over and recap them. My first tip was to learn the map, make sure you know the opening routes and the areas of which people are expected to be. And if they aren't in the expected traffic areas, then start thinking, where could they be? Are they planning something else? Are they all planning a massive rush? All those kind of ideas and thoughts need to be going through your head at the time. My second tip was to position yourself accordingly depending on how the game goes. Always have an exit strategy, always have something up your sleeve that the enemy isn't quite expecting. And my last tip, the most important tip that I gave you during this quick little tips and tricks, is to be where the enemy least expect you to be. That is possibly the most important thing that I have said throughout this entire thing, so if you abide by that, you should see a difference in how well you begin to play. And the last little quick tip I just want to share with you is just to use vehicles at your own risk. I really don't like using vehicles, so if you enjoy using the vehicles, go nuts, just watch out, I am likely scoping at you with a sniper rifle at your face, just saying. And last of all, thank you very much for watching. We shall see you next week as we continue our countdown to the release of Destiny. Hopefully we'll see you in Destiny, and until then, to be continued.